As of this very moment, 2311 and Front Row Motorsports are open entry cars in the NASCAR Cup Series. Plus, Joe Logano on his 600th start this weekend talks about how long he'll be racing, and NASCAR's haulers captured America from driving Sonoma to Dover. Welcome back to the Breaking Bob channel. Hope y'all are doing well on this Wednesday night. It's hump day, and well, we've got NASCAR as always. It seems like it never seems to end. The lawyers are the most well-paid people in the sport, it seems like, but we'll get to all of that, I promise. But before we do, if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Always talking NASCAR and racing on a daily basis. We can finally put Sonoma in the rear view. And with that, the penalty report came out. No penalties to report on the Ty Gibbs, Brad Keselowski incident. We can put that behind us. And Brad Keselowski even with a jab to end the week with Sonoma. Some spike strips. Oh, that'd be nice. Brad, whew, goodness gracious. That is off the top rope, my friend. We can finally put that behind us, hopefully moving forward. And with that, we can talk about a little NASCAR now. That's right. As of this very moment, this afternoon, Wednesday, NASCAR had to respond to 2311 and Front Row Motorsports. I guess you could call it the restraining order. I think legally is how you call it. They're trying to get the temporary injunction lifted back to give them their charter status. Well, NASCAR responded today in court late this afternoon. A lot of it was sealed, so could be some juicy details the judge is withholding from us. But part of that in the statement, or the part that was released, it is officially 2311 and Front Row Motorsports entering as open entries for Dover and Indianapolis as part of that lawsuit statement there. Right now, officially, those cars are open entries, which means if there was more than 40 cars that entered into the qualifying field, they would be at risk of not qualifying. Now, we don't see that very often, but for the first time outside of the Daytona 500 since 2018 at Texas, we did have a car get bumped at Chicago a few weeks ago, and it was the 2311 entry of Corey Heim. Now, was it because of the speed? He tagged the wall, but it just goes to show anything can happen as far as these qualifying runs with so little practice time that I don't think any of these cars are going to get bumped, but all it takes is a few different teams adding up a car or two, Live Fast, MBM, maybe an RFK entry here or there, a legacy entry. I'm just saying, it starts to add up to where these cars could not potentially be locked in. Could you imagine Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace racing each other? Now, also part of that file today was NASCAR plans not to sell these charters until this is all cleared up, but they do believe that these charters belong to NASCAR, as once 2311 and Front Row Motorsports didn't sign that charter agreement back last summer, they basically relinquished their charters back to NASCAR. That's what they're saying, at least. That's what they're alluding to. So that sale from Stewart-Haas Racing could be completely rescinded. The money goes back. Who knows how that would even go, but NASCAR is alleging that these charters are rightfully theirs because once you don't sign, you're giving up your charter rights. And another notable detail is NASCAR is saying there is absolutely no threat of either team losing drivers or sponsors in the current climate right now while running as open entries. So everyone's always talking about Tyler Reddick, Noah Gragson, Bubba Wallace, all these drivers and sponsors, of course, potentially leaving if that was the case, but NASCAR says there is no chance of that right now. It is a story that is developing. Stay tuned for more, but I've been interrupted by Norman here, so we'll have to see what he thinks about this lawsuit moving forward. I'll go help him out here. I'll be right back. And we're back, rudely interrupted. My apologies there, but let's talk Dover now. Let's get out of court, okay? Let's get out of court. Let's talk about Dover this week as NASCAR is returning back to their oval roots at the Monster Mile this week, back in Delaware. And with that, Joe Logano returning to Dover, where back in his rookie year, he had a vicious flip at Dover. A lot of people can recall that back in the days from a time when people were thinking, is Joe Logano really the real deal? Of course, dubbed as sliced bread, the best thing since. His time at Joe Gibbs was tumultuous, but looking back now 16 years later, he is going back to Dover this weekend at Cup start number 600. Incredible. When you really think about 600 starts, Joe Logano is only 35 years old, turned 35 in May, but 600 starts, what a milestone, what an accomplishment for the Penske driver, the three-time Cup champion. Yesterday during his media availability, Logano talked about the 600 starts and how he got to this point in his career, how he's grown up in front of everyone, and of course was asked about how long he'll really drive, as the R word was mentioned.
If I can win and be a help to my team, then I want to stick around. As soon as I feel like I'm a drag on the team and I'm not bringing anything to the table anymore, whether that's on the racetrack or off the racetrack, that's when I need to get out of the way. Right? Because at that point, I want to see Roger Penske and his race team and the people that are there be successful. I don't want to stick around and go be one of those guys that was like, oh, man, he just went a few years too long. Like you don't want to be that guy. So I think whenever that happens, that happens. I don't know when that is, right? I mean, I would be an idiot to think that you can be competing at the top level at into your 50s, right? Like what athlete's ever done that, right? Something changes at some point. But right now, I still feel as fresh as ever.
Love that. Joe Logano, first of all, company man, gets it. You could just tell the relationship he has with Team Penske. It goes more than just the driving side. It's the brand side. It's a family atmosphere. You could tell for Joe Logano. He is a company man and does things through and through the right way and just wants to better NASCAR in the sport. Everyone always talks about his personality one way or the other. And yes, he is polarizing, but look at Joe Logano tonight. He's going to be at the ESPYs. He does things the right way as far as a business and a brand wise. You can say what you want about Joe Logano and his how he drives and how he conducts himself, but you can tell he does truly care about NASCAR and winning as well. You could definitely tell the fire is still their desire, and 600 starts already at age 35. It makes you wonder again, how long does he truly have left? You see drivers really race into their early mid 40s now. Nobody really drives into their late 40s for the most part, but you've got Brad Keselowski, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch starting to get towards the end of their career. Joe Logano kind of came in, it seems like, in a similar time, but was so much younger, it feels like. It really is a testament to the longevity of Logano's career. And before we get out of here, it started off with seriousness at court. Norman kind of threw us off a little bit there, but let's finish it off with some lightheartedness because if you were part of the NASCAR internet community the last few days, you've probably seen it, but NASCAR streamed their haulers going from Sonoma to Dover, a 48-hour-ish, 2-day event as they drive across the country on the highways across America. And at the end, over 11,000 total viewers were watching at once as they pulled into the lots at Dover, but over 250,000 total views on the stream through the 2 days. Lighthearted, yes, but they're going to bring it back for Indy next week, a little bit shorter of a drive. It was a massive hit, though. I loved it. NASCAR having fun with it. The Ducks, if you know, the Ducks were out and about through Nebraska all the way to Dover. But it was really cool. It also shows the grind, though, that these hauler drivers have to do on a weekly basis here. Immediately, when that race wraps up at Sonoma, they're on the road, and they're not getting into Dover until last night, Tuesday night, around 10, 11 o'clock local time. It's a grind for sure. And these drivers, you got to think the last few weeks of the summer they've been in Michigan, then Mexico City. They go from Atlanta to Sonoma, then Dover. It's a grind. It's an absolute grind. So testament to your hauler drivers out there that keep this sport running. That's really who are the ones that we should be thanking here. It's a thankless service, but I'm glad to see them get a little love on the stream. And next week at Indianapolis, hopefully we'll have a little bit more fun, a little bit shorter of a drive for the haulers there going from Dover to Indy. But regardless of that fact, it was a really cool stream there. I love that. And 250,000 viewers. I watched it longer than I probably should have. I watched that for a few hours. It was just really soothing. I don't know what it was about it, but couldn't get enough of that. Gonna stop rambling about the hauler stream now, though. If you like what you saw, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Breaking Bob. It does help me out a ton here. We covered the NASCAR court update. I didn't even talk about the Rick Ware and legacy part. That whole different case of worms there. Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow. But then we've got Logano in his 600 start this weekend. How long do you think you got the 22 going there with Joe Logano behind the wheel? And of course, the NASCAR hauler, the Ducks. Oh, I'm gonna have that song stuck in my head. But see you next time, folks. Stay tuned for more here at Breaking Bob.